Greetings, humans in the realm of Earth. I am Sollum famed apprentice of wizard Ebrius Porcos, and through my studies of the dark arts discovered a portal to your realm, and greater stores of lore than the greatest bibliotheca in my lands. Amid these I discovered creepypastas, and although inedible are a mere fraction of dark history and tales, I find most intriguing. Alongside my human companion, the Narrator, and his Electricae Computatum, we are scouring the internal nets for more and more of these writings. It has been my decision that both those from my personal Librarius and those of this world must be shared to educate the wary and entertain those who appreciate the shadow as well as the light. Come and join us for a reading, and for a time, enter a world outside of your own, or quite possibly inside your very home.
Night Shift, Part 3. When they finally gave the staff access to the elevators, they were so happy. They could finally get to work without climbing multiple flights of stairs first. I was pretty happy about it too. The stairwells were always dark, and there was always that feeling of being followed. However, it didn't take long for strange things to happen with the elevator. After a few days, the elevator began to travel between floors on its own, mostly traveling down to the basement. At first, I thought it was a staff member screwing around with the elevator. When I looked at the buttons, the only floors we had access to were the first and second. All other floors were locked. The only way to access the basement was through the stairs. But I had to see if I could call the elevator from the basement. I had to know for sure if someone could access it. I went down to the basement to see if I could access the elevator. That's when things started to get really bad. Entering the basement, I noticed the lights were already turned on. I called out to see if any of the maintenance workers were down here tooling around with the elevator, the boiler, or any of the other machinery in the various rooms. I pressed the up button. Nothing. The elevator wouldn't come down to the basement. I began making my way around the basement. All the doors from the maintenance rooms were still locked. There was one door open. All the way at the back of the basement, I could see through the doorway where I was standing. All I could see was darkness. As I approached the room, I heard a weird static come from my radio. I attempted to contact dispatch just to see if I could get any transmissions in or out. Nothing but static. I stood in the middle of the basement, pondering my next move. Do I walk into the dark and creepy room? Do I just return upstairs? I walked closer to the room, shining my light in as I approached. I could see the painted white concrete walls where the paint had begun to chip and peel. The ceiling was lower than the rest of the basement, and I had to stoop slightly to enter the room. It was a fairly small room. It couldn't have been much more than 40 square feet. The floor was cracked concrete, and in the corner was a small hole, possibly a drain. I entered the room to get a better look. I was near the hole in the floor, and I heard something, right next to my ear, shush me. All of a sudden, the radio static disappeared. I felt a chill run up my spine as I ran out of the room and up the stairs. I haven't been down there since. Night Shift, Part 4. Like a lot of officers, I've had to pick up a few security contracts on the side to make ends meet. Most of them are pretty busy, breaking up fights at bars, dealing with drunks at sporting events. Hooray for sports ball, am I right? And occasionally directing traffic. When a buddy of mine approached me with an easy gig, where I'm told all I have to do is walk around or just hang out in my car, well, I have a hard time passing that up. Most of us do. This particular job required me to work security at an event center here in Kentucky. All I was to do is remain visible, be polite to guests, make sure no one was attempting to damage the property, harm the staff, or, most importantly, no one other than the property owner and security were to use the stairs in the northwest corner of the building. I was told a bit about the building's history. It used to be some kind of a warehouse used for storing bourbon. Sometime after that, it was shut down due to financial hardship and remained closed and boarded up until maybe 4 years ago. Sometimes on hot evenings, I swore I could still smell the yeasty odor of mash in the stairs. The reason no one was to use that stairwell is that the stairs were still very old, and if a step broke, that'd be a lawsuit against the owner. There was a wedding reception going on, and I attempted to stay on the peripherals as much as I could. It was a relatively small event. Couldn't have been much more than 50 people there. I was walking to the second floor from the ground floor when I heard what sounded like footsteps walking down to the basement. I looked over the railing and saw the basement door was open. I figured some attendees snuck off to fool around in a drunken stupor. I walked down the creaky stairs to the basement and announced my presence. I attempted to turn on the lights, in vain. Looking around the basement with my flashlight revealed I was in a small area of the basement with dingy red brick walls. There were pallets of building materials that were being used to continue renovating other parts of the building. I saw a large metal door on the other side of the room. I secured the stairwell door behind me and attempted to open the metal door. The door was locked. I finished checking around the building materials, and I didn't find anyone. Just as I was unlocking the door to go back upstairs, I heard what sounded like someone aggressively jiggling the handle for the metal door. I shined my light at the door and saw the handle jiggling. I approached the door and loudly announced, "Hello? Are you stuck on the other side of this door?" No sooner than I finished the sentence, the door handle stopped rattling and the door to the stairwell closed. Growing annoyed, I loudly announced, "This is security. I don't have time for your games. You're in an area restricted to the public. Leave now or you will be trespassed." The basement was eerily quiet. I began to have a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. I checked the basement one last time and entered the stairwell. I locked the door behind me. I stood in the stairwell wondering what had just happened. I began walking up the stairs, and as I stepped onto the landing at the second floor, I overheard what sounded like running coming up the stairs. I shined my flashlight over the railing and didn't see anyone moving. The sound got closer. I got out of the stairwell onto the second floor. There was no one behind me. There was no way anyone could have gotten into the stairwell.
He should count himself lucky. Most of the time when somebody hears footsteps behind them, it really is someone or something that is behind them. Thank you ever so much for joining us this night. We hope you each and all have a most sweet sleep, and that your dreams are blessed by the Ancient One. For now, farewell and good night.
If you have enjoyed this, please share, like, and subscribe. If you have any stories you wish to have read, send them to Sollum's Librarius on Reddit. And if you wish to support my voice, you can go to our Patreon page, as necromancers don't pay very well. Links to both are in the description.